Every little girl grows up dreaming about her happy ever after, but most of us don't have fairy tale scriptwriters making sure we get it. That's where the Happy Ever After show comes in. If you have been waiting for a fairy godmother to wave her magic wand and release your frustrations, create the prosperity you want, and live a life you love, then listen closely. It's time to learn how to make your own wishes come true with your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Happy Ever After show. Thank you so much for investing the time with me for the next 20 to 30 minutes to talk about how to turn your business and your life into your happy ever after. I'm so excited to be with you today and honored that you chose to spend the time with me. So today, I love the topic. This is one of my favorite topics, one of my favorite things to talk about. And it's something that all entrepreneurs need, definitely, to turn their business into their happy ever after. And that is money mindset. So you can have the best product and the best service in the world, but if your money mindset isn't set up for success, you will have trouble creating your happy ever after in your business and your life. So we are going to talk about that in just a little bit. But before that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, my move to the Four Seasons and just share with you how much I love this place and why I'm so glad that I worked on my money mindset years ago. I started working on my money mindset probably 15 years ago, really, because I really wanted to make $100,000. That was like my dream, and I just didn't see the path. When I was 19 and I was in college, I was getting my undergrad in psychology. And I remember one day, this was when some ads for jobs were still in the paper. This was a while ago. And there was a job and it required a bachelor's in psychology and it paid $12 an hour. And I thought, I'm going to school to make $12 an hour. Now, I didn't even do the math, but I know $12 an hour is pretty far away from $100,000. And I couldn't see the path. And I actually joined a multi-level marketing company that was a financial services company, which I loved being there because I learned so much about finances. But I joined that because this was somebody who said, oh, you could make $100,000 over here. I didn't honestly know how I would find a path to make that amount of money. And so I joined, and that's really where I started working on my money mindset. I started learning about money and finances. And because of the nature of the job, it's about self-growth. And so that's where I really started to explore my money mindset. And in the years following, I really dove in and said, okay, I want to have a money mindset that supports me making $100,000 without working myself to death. Because when I was younger, my dad made $100,000, but he worked so much, literally, when I was younger, he worked close to 80 hours a week. And at this point, even when I was older, he was still working 60 hours a week. And I knew I didn't want to do that. But I really wanted to be able to make money. And so I started looking for examples of people who made the kind of money I wanted to make, and they didn't work all the time, and to amp up my belief that it was possible. And so as I sit here in the beautiful enchanted palace, just thinking about my life and looking at how much, there's so much abundance here. I love living here so much. Every day it gets better. Every day there's another reason to love living here. If you follow me on Facebook, one of my favorite things is that somebody else makes coffee and puts it out. And it's out, from 5 o'clock in the morning. I had to leave on an airplane. I think I left at 5 o'clock. And I was like, oh, the coffee doesn't come out till 7. And I walked into the lobby and it was out. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was just Abundance City. That's so, because I hadn't had time to get the coffee maker going. And I could just grab a cup of coffee and walk out the door and enjoy the abundance that somebody else did that for me. And living here is all about abundance. The house cleaning crew came up today to get, really detailed instructions about how I want my house cleaned. Because it's important for me to be happy. That's the whole goal here, is for everything to be the way that I want it. And so it was just really cool to have that conversation versus knowing, trying to hire a housekeeper in the past and sort of the process. They come in, they do what they want. Or if you use a service like an online service, they might send a different person every time who's not really concerned with exactly the way you want it. So just the abundance of having that is amazing. And it's all really due the fact that I get to live here. A lot of credit goes to my business, but more credit goes to my money mindset, because that's how I've created this life. It's why I get to live here. It's because I was so committed to creating a money mindset that is supportive of abundance and ease when it comes to money. So, and I created that. And, as an entrepreneur, you have to have a money mindset that supports the business and the life that you want to live. And for me, I had grown my money mindset in my job. I knew how money could flow in when I had a job, and I had, moved up and I had made more and more money. But I didn't know, I had never made money really as an entrepreneur when I quit my job, other than I had made money in real estate. Like I knew how to make passive income in real estate. But when it came to my coaching business, I didn't know how to make money. And when I stopped having my job, even though I had set myself up for success, I had plenty of money in savings. I had my real estate investments, which were my passive income that I was living off of. Like it felt like money was just flying out the door. And I had outlined this money manifesting course about 6 months before I quit my job, and I'd never had time to write it. So what I did when I realized I needed to sort of tweak my money mindset again, because it was a new situation, right? Like I was really good, money, I was really, really good at attracting money and creating money as long as I had a job. But when there wasn't an automatic paycheck coming in, I had to do some work, especially because if you've heard my stories before, making money from coaching isn't something that I had done. Like one time for a couple months, I had made over $1,000. That was about 3 months, one summer. I had made over $1,000 a month, but it felt really hard. And the reason it felt hard is because I was doing it in addition to working, 50, 60 hours a week at my job. And so it did feel hard. And so, kind of creating that coaching income and that business that I want, I knew was possible, but it felt hard and it felt like money was just sort of slipping away. So I knew that I needed to do something to amp up my money mindset game. So what I did was I decided I was going to write the course to share with you all, but I was also going to do the course for me because I needed it along the way. And so I did. I created the course and wrote it along the way. I did it, and more money flowed into my life, opportunities to make more money in real estate, income from the course. All these things happened amazingly when I did it. And so I've been running that course for just about 2 years now. I just opened it back up. So it's manifest10k.com is what it is. And you can go there and you can register for the course if you want. But I've learned a lot in those 2 years of working with other people. So I'd always worked on my own money mindset, but helping other people increase theirs, I learned a lot about the mistakes people make when they're trying to amp up their money mindset. And like I said in the beginning, having a strong money mindset and a money mindset that supports the income that you want to have bringing in and how much you want to work is so important for entrepreneurs in creating a business and a life that they love. Because if your money mindset doesn't support your goals and dreams, it's unlikely that you're going to get there. And if you do, it's going to be a struggle. Because if you don't believe you can make money easily, you're going to continue to create struggle even when you don't have to justify bringing in money. So I thought today we would just go over the mistakes that I see people make and talk to you a little bit about how to avoid them. So the first mistake I see people make is assuming that limiting beliefs are getting in their way. So have you ever done this? You're like, I can't grow my business. There must be a limiting belief. There must be a block I need to figure out. Here's the thing about looking for limiting beliefs and blocks. You will always find them because you're looking for them, right? And you get more of what you focus on. So if you're focused on limiting beliefs, you're going to create more limiting beliefs. If you're focused on the fact that there's a block, that's all you're going to see is block, and probably more than one block. And that's really a huge mistake I see people make when they're trying to improve their money mindset, is they're looking for what's wrong that they can fix. And increasing your money mindset is really about stepping into abundance and the person who has abundance versus fixing things that are wrong. So we don't need to look for limiting beliefs. The next thing is I get people who are wondering, and they think they have to do so much to manifest. And they're thinking, am I doing enough to manifest? Am I doing enough to create more money in my life? And here's what I'm going to tell you. Less is always more. And if you don't think you're doing enough, honestly, you're probably doing too much. If you want to make money in a way that's easy and feels good, you cannot do that by doing a whole bunch of things that are stressful and you feel like you have to get all this stuff done and you feel like it's never enough. Because those aren't in alignment. Like the ease and grace of money coming in and flowing in from your business and feeling really good is different than being stressed out and thinking you're never doing enough. Those two things they're competing. And what will win is what's actually happening, which is you being stressed out and thinking that you're not doing enough to create the business that you want and the money that you want, instead of being focused on the ease and grace. So you're always going to get more struggle and more things to do when that's what you're focused on and what you think you have to be focused on in order to create something. So you really can't create that ease and flow and really feel good business if you're constantly thinking you're not doing enough and you're stressed out and you're trying to do more and more and more and more and never getting your to-do list done. That's really a mistake people make when they're trying to manifest more money and increase their money mindset. The question I get and the mistake I see people make a lot is, are you acting as if in the right way? So I've said this a number of times on the podcast, but your beingness, how you be in the world, is so much more important than what you do. And acting as if you're the person who has a successful business, walking out into the world doing that, going to the coffee house in the neighborhood where you'd live, where you are going to live when your business is hugely successful. That's a way of acting as if. But a lot of times people will just do this like once and they'll say, oh, okay, I went to that coffee shop. But the rest of the day, they do what I call acting as if not. And they're constantly saying, I can't afford that. I can't do that. All of their decisions are based on lack. They go to the store and it's like, I can't have that. And just instead of just saying, I choose not to buy that today, it's like, I can't have that. I can't have that. All of these things. And so they're really 99% of the time focused on acting as if not versus acting as if they have what they want. One of my year-long clients, I love it. She's realized this in a big way and it's added abundance to her life. She says the old version of her, when someone would say, we're going on this really lavish vacation, she would be like, go home and be like, oh, why not me? When am I ever going to have enough? I'm so broke. I'm so this. And what she does now is like, that's awesome. Like, good for you. I'm planning this vacation. And really stands in the power of what she is doing. And she is planning that vacation. She's planning a vacation that feels good to her and is going to her. It might not be like super, this lavish, this other thing, but what she's really learned to focus on is that she has the power to create what she wants. And so there's no reason to get judgmental or jealous or envious of when other people do stuff. She gets to say, cool, I get to create that too if it's what she wants. And if it's not what she wants, she gets to honor what she is creating in her life and say that with pride. And that's really a great example of acting as if versus acting as if not. So it's really how you're going through the world. And we can't just say one money mantra or one affirmation or, do one money manifesting exercise or really, say I'm going to have this really big house one day and then walk around acting as if not, that you're not going to have all that stuff one day. So it really comes down to who are you being in the world and how are you going about your life? The next mistake I see people make, which is the fourth mistake, is that people are too vague about what they want, right? They're like, oh, I want the mansion on the beach. Awesome. What else do you want? What does that life include? What are you doing when you wake up in that mansion? What are you doing all day? Who are you spending with? Who's coming over? Are you having dinner parties? Are you going out to dinners? Like, there's just not enough detail. There's not enough meat in what they're saying that they want to really latch onto, because all of those details are important to, number one, create the picture. You can't visualize. You could just visualize a house, but that's kind of boring, right? Visualizing the life inside the house, now that has more depth and there's more emotions that go with that. There's more to see. There's more to think about, right? And when you think about what are you going to be doing? Are you going to be going on a vacation when you live on that house? Or you live in that house? Are you going to be, spending time with family? Are people going to become visiting every month or whatever? Thinking about the life, it really gives clarity and depth to a vision. And that adds to your money mindset because you start to think like that person. When you just say, like, I want this mansion on the beach, you can't really tap into the mind of the person who's living there, right? Because it's really far off. It's just something you want, but you don't know who you're going to be when you're living there. But when you start to think about what that life looks like, you can really tap into the mind of the person who has that, meaning your future self. And when you tap into your future self, you start thinking and acting, and you automatically start taking on the money mindset of that person. The other mistake I see people make is not focusing on the right thing. So the number one example of this is always this: I want to be out of debt. 100% of that intention is focused on debt, which is like with the limiting beliefs. It's going to create more debt in your life because that's where your focus is. It's on debt. And so nobody really wants to be out of debt. They think they want to be out of debt. But what they really want is what's behind that. What's next? What's after debt? Awesome. You pay off all your debt. What's the next day look like? Do you want to be out of debt because you don't want to make those payments? You want an extra $200, $500, $2,000 a month, depending on what out of debt means to you. For some people, they want their house paid off, so that would be a bigger chunk. But why do you want to be out of debt? Just to say that? Probably not. You probably either want more money a month to spend on the things that you want, to invest in going in travel, or to invest in a beach house, right? You want the money that you're paying towards the debt. You don't necessarily want to be out of debt. If someone walked up to you today and said, oh, you can keep your debt forever, but I'll pay it. So let's say, you had $700 worth of payments. Somebody said, if you choose to keep your debt, I'll just pay that $700 for you. It just stays there and you just go on. Would you really want to pay it off? Because someone else is paying it. So it doesn't matter, right? That's, of course, a hypothetical scenario, but it's to show that that's not what you actually want. What you actually want is that $700 that would be freed up, right? It's not that you want to be debt-free. It's what you want or what you think that will get you. So whether that's more money to spend on a vacation or other things that you want, or it's less stress, which is often the case, right? What you want is to be relaxed and to feel calm, probably, because you don't want to be focused on being less stressed because the focus is on stress. So what you want is to be able to relax, right? And so that, in a way, is tied to debt, but it's not what you actually want. And you always get what you focus on. So if you focus on debt, you're going to get more of that, which is often why people who focus on getting out of debt, as soon as they get out of debt, something big happens and they find themselves right back in debt because they've been focused on debt. They didn't say what they were going to do with the money. So where you're focusing is super important when you're working on your money mindset. And speaking of debt, the mistake that I see people make is believing that debt is holding them back. Debt is holding them back from being, financially successful or financially independent. And that's a belief. And I like to say that's really not true. So from my own experience, being in debt did not keep me from becoming financially independent. Often when I was a lot of times when I was financially independent, I had more debt than I ever had in my life. But it was a way to use that debt. I had debt because I had properties. I had investment properties. So the fact that you believe debt is holding you back means it absolutely is. But it's really not true. And as long as you choose to believe that that's what's holding you back, that's what's keeping you from getting what you won't get what you want because your focus is on debt. When you start to open up and you start to focus on what you do want, and you let go of that belief that I can't do anything, I can't be successful financially, I can't bring in more money until I'm out of debt, then you will really open up your mind. And truthfully, most, I haven't looked up the statistic on this, but most people who have an abundance of money or who have a lot of money have some sort of debt because often that works for them. And so that doesn't mean, you might be going, oh, but that doesn't mean credit card debt. You're right. But what the point is that that's not what's keeping you from being successful with money. The belief that that's holding you back is what's keeping you from being successful in opening up your money mindset. So that's an important one to let go and move through. And then the last mistake I see people making is not knowing when it's working. So when they're increasing their money mindset, often people want, when they start focusing on their money mindset and they're like, I'm working on this, I'm, saying affirmations, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. They want it to just start raining money from the sky, or someone to just walk up with that Publishers Clearinghouse $2 million check. And often that's not what happens in the beginning because you have to grow into, you may never get that Publishers Clearinghouse check. But if you get $2 million some other way, does it really matter how it came into your life? Probably not. But the reason, because if you're just looking for that $2 million Publishers Clearinghouse check and you're missing how money is flowing easier into your life in the beginning, you're not focused on the fact that it's working, which means you're focused on the opposite, that it's not working. And when you focus on that, it can't work because you can't see it. Even if you're manifesting all this money, but it's behind where you're looking, you can't see it. And so you don't know it. And so that often leads to frustration, giving up, thinking that it's not working. And so just not working on your money mindset. So those are the mistakes that I see people making when they go to increase their money mindset. And we talked a little bit about how to avoid them and what to do. And if you really want to jump in and you want support in that, you're like, that's a lot. I don't know if I can keep focused on all those things and make sure I'm focusing on the right thing and not the wrong thing. You can always join manifest10k.com. And that is a program that I designed where you pay after you manifest. So it's currently $1. It is a tribute to your future manifestings to get started. And then it's 10% of what you manifest. So it's a great way if you want that support to get the support. Because I will tell you, having people doing it with you, having a path to follow, more or less a curriculum of a course, makes it a lot easier. That's where I see people get really successful results in increasing their abundance mindset and their money mindset. When I was working really hard on my money mindset, I worked on it a lot. I just kept changing my thoughts and beliefs. And so it's a practice that takes time because it's growth. It's something that you don't have now and you're growing into, or you're expanding it. Maybe you have, you think you have a decent money mindset, but you'd like to have much better and be attracting more money with more ease and grace, and you'd like money to flow into your business, easier and faster. It's a great thing to do to increase your money mindset and really focus on that and up-level that game. So I hope that you found these 7 mistakes helpful. We talked about how to avoid them. And so you can go do that on your own, definitely. Or if you want the support of a group and, built-in cheerleaders, that's what I love about the group, actually, is that everybody cheers each other on and you want to do it with some other people. You can go to manifest10k.com and register for the course. If you have any questions, you can definitely email me, Cassie@CassieParks.com, and let me know what you thought, if this was helpful to go over sort of the mistakes so that you could avoid them. So I love talking about money mindset. What I really love more than talking about it is really helping people move through it. And this is the basis for part of what I do in my business. So thank you for letting me share it with you today. Please take the information and implement it so that you can grow your money mindset and really open up the space in your business for more and more money to come in, and to experience more of what that success feels like. Before I give you the mantra for today, I just wanted to talk about one of our listeners. And she told me the other day, she said, I binge listened to the show, and what I really got was how you talk about stepping into your future self. And she goes, I really got how that's an experience from listening to how you did it and how you did it the 4 seasons. And she went out and she did it. She stepped into her future self and she went and purchased some things at the Coach Outlet, which were totally her future self. And I just love hearing that story and want to say congratulations to her. And if you have a story like that, feel free to share it with me, email it to me. I love for you all to be able to share in each other's successes. So just one more thing for today, and that is your mantra. And your mantra is, I am abundant. I am abundant. Goes along with our money mindset theme. Practice it. Say it as often as you can this week, and really step into the version of yourself who reflects that mantra. I am abundant. Until next time, have a fabulous week.
Thanks for joining us on the Happy Ever After Show, where you don't need a genie lamp to get your wishes granted. Now that you're inspired and ready to take action, get yourself on the path to your happy ever after by scheduling a complimentary strategy session at createmyhappyeverafter.com.